Hello, you're listening to the Cerulean Skies Podcast Network. Once again, we're joined with our music podcast. Today, we have Mr. John
Hello and welcome.
and, and Jamie.
Howdy ho.
Sorry, I'm trying to put a voice to Jamie's mustache, and that's as far as I can get. So
That's the voice that comes to mind.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not your
The
fault.
NPR stash.
Yeah. Yeah, but like nasally NPR. The N in NPR stands for nasally public radio. It's a fabled piece of trivia. But yeah, so Seth, unfortunately, Australia had sunk. It's gone. And along with it is Seth. So he will be here on the next episode. So we're trying to replace him.
Or Australia.
We miss Seth.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. But yeah, John wasn't here last week because also Canada sank, but it's back now. And we're going to be talking. I think our topic this week is how streaming services affected our listening habits, but we're probably just going to go off about like all the new shit that has come out since then. So there's been a lot of new stuff. Usually at the end of the podcast, we have this, the weekly playlist thing here. We usually like tackle that. We've been talking about that at the end, but I think just in the interest of switching things up, man, let's talk about some of the tracks that we chose for this week. So, John, what did you pick?
I got to go to it right now and check.
You forgot already?
Forgot. This is what happens when you have a brain like mine that doesn't work great. All right. 4 songs. First one, Lowered by Greg Puciato featuring Reba Myers of Code Orange. It's a fucking good song. It's his second solo album. I was listening to it a lot like the other day, and it really stuck with me. And the fact that like Reba Myers sings on it is crazy because all I know her from is playing guitar for Code Orange, and like her voice fucking kills on that track.
I never would have guessed that Reba McEntire would make it onto a Dillinger Escape Plan affiliated release, but here we are.
Dude, I wish. That's like my dream collab. Reba Myers or McEntire and fucking Dillinger.
Reba Myers McEntire. She changed her name when she like wanted to be free from the clout that McEntire would bring.
Free from the clout. That's the title of my EP dropping soon.
Your sad boy SoundCloud rap.
I'm a rapper now, guys. Come on.
No, that sucks. No. What else you got there, John? Huh?
What's next? Dimensional Bleed by Holy Fawn. Surprise drop yesterday with an album announcement. Fuck yeah, dude. That band rips. I don't even know what else to say. They're just good, dark, heavy fucking shoegaze. I'm about it. I like shit. It's weird too because I had no idea who these guys were up until like a few months ago, and one of their songs came on randomly, and I was like, "What is this?"
Hold on, I showed you Arrows by them like a year and a half ago, dude.
Did you?
Yeah, I remember this.
Shit. I remember there was a night that you showed me a bunch of music because you were like DJing or something.
I think that's what it was, or maybe I sent it to you after.
The only thing that stuck with me that night, I think, was Emma Ruth Rundle.
Hell yeah!
Fucking bop though.
It's a good ass song.
It is. What else? Enough for You by Single Mothers. They're like a local punk band that are coming out with an album in a few months. They just dropped this new song today. It's pretty good. It's very punky. I got nothing else to say.
That came up on my Spotify recommended thing because you put Single Mothers on the last playlist.
Yeah,
it was one of the other playlists.
The first singles that they dropped, I think. Baby Bird.
Yeah, I think it was. And so I listened to that a bunch, and then this actually came up. So I listened to this yesterday or this morning. I don't remember. They all blend together when you're a gamer. Yeah. So hell yeah, good choice, man. And what's that last one? I don't know this one.
Oh, Satan Will Follow You Home by Dead Tired. Dead Tired is George from Alexis on Fire's hardcore band that like kind of got birthed when they broke up. It's cool. Mm-hmm. This album fucks, dude. It's like It's like stoner rock, Black Sabbath, hardcore. If I had to
So High
like,
on Fire.
kind of, but like maybe like more like hardcore punk leaning.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cool
Interesting.
though. I fuck with it.
Yeah, John added these. Actually, I was sort of late getting this, so I didn't actually get a chance to listen to everybody's choices yet. So I'm stoked to do that after. JB, what about you? What did you pick, man?
You know,
Man.
well, it's funny because I was also scrambling to get a few songs down onto the on the playlist, and initially the first one that I was going to add was "All Waves to Nothing" off of the new Greg Puciato, and then noticed that John had already beaten me to it. So, but I mean, "Lowered" was another really juicy cut off of that record. And I also have to
Ew.
say, Joey can attest to the fact that I'm a huge Holy Fawn fan, so I was
Mhm.
stoked to see that listed on there as well. As far as my stuff, so I put a track off of the not the latest, but the from a few years ago, the Artificial Brain record, because the latest Artificial Brain record, which is their self-titled record, has been getting like a lot of just kind of love on the internet underground when it comes to metal. And I first found out about them years ago when they were opening up for Demolich. They just got this really cool, like just this like cavernous, like spacey death metal sound that like I hadn't really encountered a lot of other places before, at least in exactly that particular variety. So it's their track "Estranged from Orbit." Highly recommend checking it out. It's got some really cool EQ like sound stuff going on that are really unique. What else did I pick here? I also did a track off of a little bit different, but Ethel Kane released a record a few months ago. I actually only recently found out about her, but she's like I don't know, kind of like a singer songwriter that incorporates like elements of a bunch of different styles. Like she kind of, in terms of her voice, she sounds a bit like a Lana Del Rey type, which isn't usually my jam. But she like incorporates really cool dynamics of like slowcore and shoegaze into the sound of the songs that she puts out. So like a little bit of an Emma Ruth Rundle sort of thing. And honestly, the particular track that I included on the playlist is almost kind of Chelsea Wolf esque. It's got like a very it gets very atypically abrasive in comparison to everything else that's featured on the record, but it's like
Oh
a
yeah.
concept album that has to do with her just like coming to terms with like her relationship with the church and with just with Christianity, being the daughter of a preacher, but also her dad having well, okay, trigger warning for anybody who's concerned, but her father who assaulted her when she was younger, and just kind of
Yikes.
her contextualizing her own relationship with her father in the church in comparison with like just all of the the feelings of her town like being like super like her dad was like a pillar of the community sort of thing. It's like, oh well, you know what, this is like fucked up, and I don't know how to like pretty much just her achieving catharsis through that. But what else did I have on here
That's
Yeah.
listed?
fascinating. I'm definitely gonna
Yeah,
Yeah,
check.
that sounds really and the album is called Preacher's Daughter, so that's like
Preacher's Daughter.
extra
Yeah,
unsettling to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
One
yeah.
quick
No,
thing before
so
we jump to the next one.
yeah.
What's slowcore?
So it's like a style of indie music that like really just kind of emphasizes just like really sluggish like guitar chord progressions. That typically speaking, there's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of loud, quiet going on. So like if you're familiar with Low, Low's an example of a slowcore group. Or I mean, Joe, you can help me out with the
Yeah,
just like
Chris is weird. Code even something like coding would be slowcore.
yeah, definitely.
Red House Painters. Uh, what's another fucking I don't know. Galaxy 500.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those are the ones
I've
that
never
come to
heard of
mind.
any of these bands, but I'm gonna check them
Oh,
out.
yeah. They're
I'll
definitely worth
make
looking
we can
into.
make you a slowcore playlist.
Just for John. Yeah, and then the last two cuts that I had, so they're both from Chicago, or at least Chicago area musicians. So one of them is from the group Without Waves. They put out a record earlier this year that's one of my one of my personal favorites of the year so far. It's got like a interesting sort of sound. It like kind of incorporates elements of like it has like a bit of like a strapping young lad sort of character to it, but like there's also like a bit of like kind of like Deftone sort of like alternative metal, new metal sort of instrumentation going on. But they're based out of Chicago. They're still relatively unknown, and I'm kind of waiting to get their big break, if you will. But I mean, it's a fucking amazing record, so I would definitely check that out. And then the last one's actually so the song itself is more of like a Weezer style pop punk song, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's made by a musician who's more known for like making black metal music. So like he's super prolific. He's made like 20 albums in the last like 6 years. And he's younger than me. He's like 23 years old. He puts out like 2 or 3 albums a year. And one of the latest releases he put out, he kind of veers into like more like pop punk territory, but does it like really well. Because like before getting into making metal, that he was more like a emo pop punk sort of fan as a teenager, but just
Interesting.
kind of like a testament to his origins, if you will. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I got.
That's an
Damn.
interesting jump, I gotta say, from black metal to pop punk. But you
Oh yeah.
saying like he put out like all those albums in a year? I was thinking of Omar Rodriguez Lopez
Or
when,
I was thinking of Viper.
well, like a couple of years ago. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Black
A
Metal
couple of
Viper.
years ago, Omar did that thing where he's like, "I'm gonna put out 2 albums a month," and like
Oh
they
yeah,
Jesus.
were
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
fucking good. I mean,
Yeah.
all the ones
Mhm.
I heard. I think he ended up giving up halfway through, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone does on projects like that.
24 albums in a year.
Is Black Metal Viper just King Cobra? Is that what happens? It's like just you
Uh
become a 40?
in a manner of speaking, I suppose that could be argued.
Yeah, that's God, that's interesting. Yeah, so I remember you were telling me about this, Jamie, and I remember I listened to this the sadness I don't know, I don't think it was this record. Was it this record? No, it
Probably
wasn't this
not.
one.
Probably
No.
not. No.
It was the pink cover. I Want to Be There. That's the
Oh
name of
yeah,
the
yeah,
album.
yeah.
Um I listened to that after you told me about it because like I do that's so strange. Like growing up with that kind of music and then getting into metal and then going back to it, it's just like that's so interesting. But
Yeah.
um oh yeah, those are really unique selections. So uh I'll I'll go into mine too. So we have the first track I picked off here. I've been listening to a lot of ambient again. I think recommended somebody on the Discord, um, Stars of the Lid,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, bro, hell yeah! Listen to some fucking cinematic ambient." And I started going back and listening to all the Stars of the Stars of the Lid records, um, and it was like I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I'll start off with this, and then I was like, I transitioned that immediately into Misery Signals because I thought that'd be funny. But hold on, there's a meta thing. I almost like didn't want to talk about this because I want to see if anyone would pick it up. But like, Misery Signals, they're they're like they had members of the band Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, right? And Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, I think is like the first band I can think of to do like some kind of classical or I don't know, like instrumental intro before going into metalcore. So I tried to replicate that with this song and then Misery Signals. I don't know how Jasmine's Lullaby, Seven Angels, Seven Plagues shit.
that's
Um,
funny. I'm actually going to
and
see Misery Signals on Friday.
oh fuck yeah, well they're Canadian, aren't they?
Yeah,
No,
they're touring with
no,
Comeback
they're
Kid and
from
End, but
Misery
Comeback Kid
Signals
already
is from
played.
Milwaukee.
Are they?
Half of them are
Yeah.
from Edmonton, I think.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. They're American Canadian band formed in Wisconsin, and half their members are in Alberta. Yeah, wow,
Interesting.
that's crazy. Yeah, because so they were supposed to play Furnace Fest last year,
Yeah.
and then something happened. I think they got stopped at the members got stopped at the border, and they couldn't play the fest. So Comeback Kid just played two Mystery Signals tracks.
Oh, for real?
That's
That's
funny.
pretty
Yeah,
sick.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, all right, that's awesome. And then I saw somebody get carried away in a stretcher. So then that same guy who he jumped off a balcony, broke his wrist, and then came back like 2-3 hours later, which is a very big Jamie maneuver, honestly.
I can't believe that kid came back.
Yeah, bro, fuck off, fuck off, man.
All right, there's my one for the
Oh,
stream.
yeah, now you gotta shave it. I really need Seth here to say "fuck off, cunt" or "fuck off, mate."
Fuck off, mate.
Fuck off, cunt derogatory is definitely in the works for that one, dude. Fuck off. Um, and then the next one I got. This is I don't know. I don't know what I was on this week, but I chose the track called "Foothills" by this band called Metal Hearts. So I saw this band in like 2005 or six, and I remember like never hearing anything quite like this. It was like very like I don't know how to describe it. Almost like emo, like really like effects driven, like finger picking guitar stuff with like hip hop beats and break beats and like just like the best way I could describe this is like the prototype of like what a lot of like SoundCloud rappers try to sort of do with like the emo rap hybrid. It's because it's neither of those things. This band is neither of those things, but like it has elements of that. Like the dudes who made it, I think, were hip hop guys, and so
Mhm.
like it's it's super like austere. It's really interesting. If you guys check one track from this, check this. I think you might like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
definitely give that a listen.
yeah, but there's like violin and a fucking rain stick in it. It's a
Of course,
cool
there's a
little.
rain stick.
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't there be? And then the last one I chose because it's Corpse Pose by Unwound. Um, so Unwound just actually Jamie just got tickets for me. Uh, they just announced a reunion, and so they're playing without their old bassist who unfortunately died. But like post punk, like early DIY like stuff. I don't even. How would you describe Unwound, dude? I don't even.
They're like kind of they're like they're on the mathier side of post-hardcore, just kind of like I don't know, like Slint with a little bit more attitude. Uh,
Yeah, straightforward, way more straightforward.
yeah, but yeah, no, that's going to be a really cool tour. I never thought in a million years that they would have announced a reunion tour based off of their bass player no longer being, because he was also like he like a backing vocalist as well.
I think he did backing vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I feel like the bass lines for that band are so iconic that it's
yeah.
definitely gonna take some doing. I mean, they enlisted what's his face from Big Business and the Melvins to to fill that
That's
gap.
right. Yeah,
But
that's wild.
but
That's wild.
that's still gonna be really interesting because how much of a focal point of their sound the bass is. So hopefully he's able to rise to the occasion.
Dude, yeah, like when I think of like really good bassists in that kind of music, Unwound is always the first band that comes to
Oh
mind. And
yeah.
it's like they have like really percussive almost guitar lines, like super angular at times. Like um it's really good. They're fucking great. They're like a hugely seminal band for anything post-hardcore or post-punk or whatever. Um so yeah, I'm really pumped for that reunion in like literally a year. Which the
Yeah.
members might be dead by then.
Yeah. Yeah. We might be dead. I mean,
Yeah, we might be dead, but like they're like
if we're
probably like
lucky.
95 years old. Not really. They're probably like I don't know 50. I don't
Yeah, something like that.
know something like that.
Well, any number
Uh,
of things could happen in 9 months. So hopefully we end up having an
that,
opportunity to see them.
that's true. I could have a wonderful baby boy in this time. Me and Sonic the Hedgehog are gonna have a wonderful baby boy.
All
Unbeknownst to
right.
Kelly.
Unbeknownst to Kelly, yeah, she doesn't have any idea what's coming. Um, so Zeph's not here and he can't talk about the tracks that he chose. So I'm gonna pick the one track that I know from the tracks that he chose, and it's this New Era song.
Oh
Did you
yeah.
guys listen to
Open the
this?
Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
So
course,
good.
dude. I fucking love Era.
I saw them at Furnace Fest too.
Yeah.
Actually, it is a good ass song. What about these other songs that you chose? You guys know these?
Um,
Revocation's Diabolical Majesty. Yeah, that's a fucking tech death masterpiece right there, dude.
I
it's
mean,
a
it's Seth, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
slap.
Dave Davidson, he's like the leader of Revocation. That dude's fucking insane guitar player.
Yeah, who also does vocals while he's like shredding on
Yeah,
leads.
dude. Like the shit he puts out is just fucking nuts.
Yeah, they're a really cool band to see live. I've had a chance to see them a few times over the years, and they're one of those bands that always delivers.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know these other groups. The names sound familiar, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what Invent Anime, or Circles sound like.
Invent anime.
They're like
Exactly.
genty metalcore stuff.
Okay, well
I
that
haven't
makes sense
listened
for
to this,
Seth.
but I have friends
Yeah.
that were like super into them at one point in time. So
Inter-
might be good.
what about
So
circles?
I've never heard of Circles.
Circles take the squares.
No, dude. Yeah, no, absolutely no. Uh, yeah, interesting. I guess Seth will have to defend himself. We'll put him through the trial. Jamie, do you like Era?
Again, another band that like I'm sure that I have heard at some point or another, but I wouldn't feel or I don't know enough about them to feel comfortable saying one way or the other if I enjoy them. But I'll definitely be giving that track a listen later to see if I do, in fact, vibe with them.
It's a pretty good intro track, I think, to
Yeah,
them. Like a good primer, right, John?
Yeah,
Would
I'd
you
say
say?
so.
hell yeah.
Um, sick. Yeah, I think this is a really interesting playlist this week for something that we cobbled together like 5 minutes before this show. Um,
That's the thing is like doing these. I'm always like, I have 30 things that I want to put on here, and I can only pick
Right.
4.
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like doing it last minute is good because it forces you just to fucking hit
Yeah.
that trigger, right?
I'm like,
Pull
what
that
are the 4
trigger.
things that I really like the most? All right, these fucking 4.
Right. I like added and then like removed tracks several times in the 20 minutes that I was working on it. So
Oh shit! Oh fuck!
So I try to choose like it's not necessarily new songs, although I probably do favor like stuff I've been listening to more. I try to keep like a balance, but it depends because I think like last week it was all new songs. So it's been a lot of fun doing this. It gives me like a incentive to listen to new stuff, I guess. And maybe that's
yeah.
like a good uh talking point for the Spotify thing. And it's like for stuff that you guys like, because obviously you guys, I feel like both of you are playlist people, right?
Mm-mm.
Not
Not me
really.
so much, but
I mean, like, but you don't make your own stuff to listen to?
not really. Typically, I mean,
No,
every
Really?
once in a while I will, but
I'm albums, dude. I try to
yeah,
make
same.
playlists. I listen to them for like 2 weeks, and then I'm like, no, albums.
Yeah. I can rarely even finish my playlist. In fact, if I make a playlist, it's usually because I'm trying to like introduce some bands to like a friend of mine or something like,
Yeah,
okay, here's like a little sampler platter because I'm aware of the fact that not everybody's willing to sit down and listen to like even a 50-minute record if they're, just kind of like going about their day. So it's like, okay, here's a track off of this one album that I think you might really like, and then here's something completely different, and just there's something convenient about it for people who are like first like treading the waters of a new band or a new sound. But I've always been an album boy. I think that goes back to my like just listening to CDs as a kid, and that was just like the way that I would experience music. So
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I agree with you there.
Well, so John, you missed the last week that we had, so maybe we can like piggyback this off of what you have to say. But like, when you first were, how did you first like get into music, like of your own accord, apart from like listening to stuff that like everybody like has those artists that like somebody shows them or like their parents listen to or their siblings listen to. But how did you get into music like of your own volition, basically?
Oh, okay, so like way back in the day,
Yeah, yeah.
it was shit like, okay, so in Canada we had Much Music, which is kind of like MTV in the US.
Yeah, I heard
So
about this.
they always had like different channels. Oh fuck, I'm trying to remember what the names of them were. but they had like a heavy channel, a hip hop channel, like not channels, shows, and they'd always air. So like that's how I found out about Alexis on Fire. Is the pulmonary archery video would
Oh, that video is
air
sick.
all the time, and you know stuff like that, like Deftones and all that other stuff, System of a Down, Linkin Park, and then I got internet, YouTube, fuck, what was it? Kazaa, LimeWire, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Type in anything, and you're gonna get like 50 different things. Metallica, Nothing Else Matters, and it's not actually Metallica.
Yeah, it's just a virus that destroys and fucking nukes the family PC, and then it's
Yes,
just
it's that
gone.
Bill Clinton voice. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh god, dude. Ugh.
Uh, Definitely malware.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Or System of a Down, Legend of Zelda.exe.
Oh yeah.
I thought this
My
was supposed
favorite
to be
song by
like
them.
yeah. I thought this was supposed to be like a MP3 file. I don't understand why it's making me download Gajingas swear. I don't know.
A little
But
off topic, but I remember downloading Metal Gear Solid 1 for PC off of like LimeWire or whatever. It took a week and it finally worked, and it was like the best fucking thing ever, and then my computer died because it couldn't handle it.
yeah,
But it was
so okay, like when I
awesome.
first started using those like I swear this is going to have relevance because it transitions into streaming services, right? And like how we it affects listenability. But so it's not as tangential as it may seem. But I'm when I first started downloading music, which was, you know, like fucking 2003 maybe 2002. No, it was before that cuz I remember I had just gotten the internet and Kid A came out, and I remember hearing about it on MTV, and it was like, "Oh, you can go to Napster and you could download it." So I downloaded Kid A, and it took like literally 3 weeks because like you couldn't resume stuff on dial-up, or at least maybe I just didn't know how to. Um, but it was a 28.8 modem, so it would take fucking like literally 6 hours to download a song, and so I had to be online for that amount of time, right? And that was just like just getting one song was so annoyingly tough that like I had to always make sure it mattered. Like sometimes I'd like would look up a track list for something and find the shortest track because they would take the least amount of time, which is the struggliest struggle, I swear. Um, but yeah, I remember like just that whole experience, like just taking fucking forever, but it felt more involved, right? Like I feel like something changes dramatically once you have immediate instantaneous access to it, right? And like I don't know, like, as a kid and like as like an early teen or whatever, I was like into I was into like mixtapes and shit. I'm always an album person, but like at the same time I like building like playlists and stuff for people who like this weekly shit, you know?
Yeah,
Stuff like
for
this I
sure.
think it's really cool. Or trying to like have a through line of stuff. Like if I make a playlist, I will try to make I will like listen to the end of each song and see if it flows into each other and like spend an inordinate amount of time trying to make everything have some kind of cohesion. At least like with how tracks flow. So like I don't know, downloading stuff like back then just like it felt more like involved, and now it's like I get not that I don't make an active effort to search for new things, but like I feel like I've become a little bit lazier about it because I have my like release radar thing that's like really helpful for finding
Yeah,
new stuff. And sometimes stuff just drops and I just don't know about it. I'm not
yeah,
like
for sure. I think
perfect.
for me, following the amount of people I do on Twitter who all have like eclectic music tastes help me to keep up with stuff like that, because I always
Mhm.
see like 10 people talk about this new album came out this week. So I'm like, all right, well, you haven't steered me wrong before, so I might as well check that out. And usually I check it out and it's good or it's shit, and either listen to it and then keep listening to their recommendations, or delete them, block them, and leave them out of my life forever.
Report them.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like I get what you mean. For me, it's always like tough to build my own playlist because there's always so much stuff that I want to listen to, and it's hard to stick it in one cohesive playlist because my playlists always end up being like 3 fucking hours long. Nobody wants to listen to a
Yeah,
3 hour
same.
playlist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I like
Right.
it when other people do it. I miss getting like Metal Hammer magazines, and they'd always have like the sampler CDs, and it's like,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
10 fucking ripper fucking face melting tunes, bro.
If anything was ever advertised to me like that, I think I would have thrown it in the trash, man. That sucks.
Well,
Yeah, it's
clearly
like,
you
get
were
ready
not
for
a
this
subscriber
fucking
to Metal Hammer.
Shred Narfest fucking bleh, and it's like
Shredtacular, bro.
It's like Five Finger Death Punch.
5 Finger Death Punch.
Little 36 Crazy Fist, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's a fucking name I haven't heard in forever.
I got a 36 Crazy Fists. I remember I got a sampler and
Oh.
36 Crazy Fists was on it.
I thought you were gonna say back tattoo.
Oh yeah, I got a back tattoo. With, if you look, these are 36 crazy fucking hairs, baby. So no, I missed the sampler CD age, man. There was like something kind of special about that. Like, I mean, mostly it was just labels trying to get people interested in what they were putting out.
Oh, for
I
sure.
found that a lot of bands from Hopeless Records did a thing called like Hopelessly Devoted to You, and it was like a huge amount of bands, and they were like $5 to buy like what was 2 CDs basically.
Dude, I think I
Found
have
it.
one of those.
You might, yeah. They were. It's a big. I think they were. They might have been based in Canada, actually.
Hopeless? No, they're a US
Yeah.
label.
Maybe,
think,
yeah,
like, I
yeah.
ordered
But there's a
something
lot of Canadian
online
bands.
from like one of these labels, and they sent me like a 2-disc sampler with like a shitload of different stuff on it.
Van Nuys, yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's Cali. Cali, baby, not Canada.
But I remember the Weaker Thens were on that.
Yeah.
On one of the ones that I. So that's
American distribution. Canadian bands will sign with American labels.
Fucking disgusting that they would mix cultures like that.
I know. I blame Nickelback.
Absolutely gross. But Jamie, what about you, man? Like, what was your like? How did you used to discover music back in the day? Like, how does that compare to Spotify?
Yeah, so I kind of used a variety of. So actually, one resource that I made use of when I was in my like early teens, I remember my we had a digital cable when I was growing up, and they would always have like the different station like genre stations that you could throw on. So there'd be like like an 80s station or a hip like several different hip hop stations, a metal station. And like there was a period of time where the only way that I knew how to access like in my what I deemed at the time like the heavier stuff was like on a station like this, because I hadn't really like gotten into the habit of listening to music online yet. So I would hear, whatever like Lamb of God, like like Kill Switch Engage, or like even like stuff like Slipknot that would just like would be playing on the TV. And so like when I would get home from school, I would put on the metal TV station and just like kind of sometimes I would have it on in the background until I heard something that I liked, and then sometimes I would just like actively be like staring at my TV with nothing on there, just like with music playing. But I did a lot of that. I used actually AOL a long time ago used to have like the equivalent of like a Last FM thing that was like
Yeah.
an America Online Last FM thing. I don't recall what what the name of the player was, but like I
Scrobbles.
Yeah, well, I would listen to like a lot of I would like put on a station of a band that I was starting to get into. Like, oh man, I love these Dragon Force guys. I wonder if I can find some more Dragon Force type bands. And to mix results. But it's always funny for me to tell people the first 3 CDs that I ever purchased, like going back to when I used to listen to CDs, were first one I ever bought was Celebrity by NSYNC. because I was really into the the Jimmy Neutron movie, and Pop from that movie was an NSYNC track. So I'm like, I decided I had to have it. So 8-year-old Jamie went to Walmart and picked up a copy. And then I picked up a Michelle Branch CD a few months after that because there was a song in Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
Oh yeah.
That was a Michelle Branch song that I was also very into. So decided I needed to purchase said Michelle Branch CD with my allowance that I got for doing my chores. Um,
That's
and
wild.
then and then the third CD that I purchased, I was gifted a few CDs along the way, but the third CD I actually bought was Mesmerized by System of a Down. And that was like I was kind of just like listening to my like local rock radio station, and then I actually the first System song I ever heard was BYOB, and I remember listening to that and being just like, this is entirely unlike anything I've ever heard. I don't know what I'm listening to, but I'm super into it. And like immediately, it's like that same day I went to my local Sam Goody and picked up a copy of Mesmerize, and then found out that Hypnotize was supposed to be coming out 6 months later. So I used the rest of my allowance that I had to place a pre-order for it. And so
Damn.
Hypnotize ended up being my fourth CD. But and then I like at that point I decided like I'm just gonna start buying all of these metal CDs with money that I don't have because I don't have a job. But every once in a while my parents would feel generous enough to throw a few bucks my way, or like I would like pocket like lunch money. Like I'd
Yeah,
be
that's what
given
I used
money.
to do.
Yeah, I would just like like whatever, just like starve myself or like make a PB&J or something, and then I would just like go to my local record store, pick up whatever looked really cool. That was a lot of it too. I would base it off of like album covers that I was into to like mixed results. I
For
definitely
sure.
got some duds that way, but
Yeah,
um
100%.
yeah, but
How I used to like gauge downloading albums too, and I remember, the first time I ever heard Meshuggah. I looked up Chaos Sphere, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude, that looks sick. And I listened to it the first time, and I was like, this is garbage. I fucking hate this. I love them now, but like I was at the time, I think I was like into like Linkin Park and shit like that, and I
oh
was like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
need
gonna be a hard sell
feel.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Chaos Sphere, I remember listening to like New Millennium Cyanide Christ, and I'm like, what is this? This is no.
I can't make this my AOL Instant Messenger away message. Fuck this shit. What are these dumb lyrics?
I don't get it.
For some reason, I think I yeah, God, I was probably like, I got a sampler with Meshuggah on it, and God, who else is on it? I think Rammstein
Rammstein?
is on it, um, as well. And I thought Meshuggah was a druggy band. I think I described it to my friend as a druggy band. Like, I don't know, man, because like they looked like their name looked like the Spencers. Like it looked like how Spencers feels, even though they sound nothing like that. And I like Meshuggah, but like it's funny that that's how that transitioned, I guess. But
The
That's
druggy
so funny.
band. I mean, I guess it helps to be on drugs to truly appreciate their music,
yeah, I
but
guess, yeah.
not a prerequisite.
Dude, my ex hated Massive Attack because she said it sounded like drugs. And I kind of get it. Like I kind of get it.
I, I remember there was a. I distinctly remember my one of my best friends from junior high school. Or actually, no, I guess it would have been high school. We both really like got it. We got really into Opeth around the same time, and we like just kind of went through the whole rabbit hole of like listening to their entire catalog. And they have a track off of their second record, Morning Rise, has like these like really kind of like psychedelic little guitar licks. And his girlfriend at the time screamed at him to turn off what he was playing because it sounded like porno music.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's fucking wild.
That
Yeah,
rules so
yeah.
hard, yeah.
So now every single time I hear that song, I can't help but think of exactly that. I'm just chilling, listening to porno music, 11 o'clock at night, just like playing Morning Rise.
I'm definitely gonna listen to that album later and try to
Oh yeah.
fucking figure it out.
And try to fuck to it. That's what you're trying to
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I mean that.
Hey, the Opeth, baby.
God, God, I'm
We
sorry.
like
I'm sorry for
Still
derailing
Life.
that, but yeah, no, like so, John. Obviously, you had the downloading music phase, and like, did you have a Last FM phase as well?
No.
That
Oh, that
was
that
yeah.
completely missed me.
I was into that, but I didn't use Last FM to like stream stuff or anything like that because I thought this quality
What
because
what was it? Was it like a radio station type thing?
so it's yeah, it was sort of like Pandora. Okay. So what the basic backbone of the site was basically like you download a widget or an app, and it like tracks what you listen to, and then it scrabbles your plays. So it
Oh,
basically just
Scrabbles
like
them.
scrabbles them. Yeah, that was the term. Thanks. Um, and so like you can find like I was the biggest listener of Appleseed Cast, right? And I would sit there and I'd
Of course
grind
you were.
songs to keep that right. Like I would literally sit there fucking grinding Appleseed Cast, like scrim blowing albums so I could
That's the most Joey thing I've heard in my entire life.
well no, because it was like, okay, I could sit here and listen to nothing or I could grind some Appleseed Cast, right? Like so it's like I'm like, okay, or like I'd just put it on or I'd throw it on. Um and it's like so you can like go to the artist page and like talk to people who like it. It was like it was like part forum, part like social media. It was social media essentially. But then they also had like radio stations that function similarly to Pandora. And a lot
They're
of the
always better than
times
Pandora.
it probably, yeah. But a lot of the times, like it wasn't like you couldn't really select what you were listening to. It would just like play, like kind of have a spot how Spotify does it, where if I listen to Meshuggah, it'll play druggy guy radio. Like
Yeah.
Cottonmouth
after it,
Kings.
The Cottonmouth Kings, yeah, the Meshuggah to Cottonmouth Kings
Holy fuck.
transition.
Pipeline.
That would be.
Yeah,
I
but
Oh
want
so
to.
god.
that's
I'm gonna
that's all
stay
that's
after
all
this
it was.
festival.
Uh,
It was kind of just that.
I was a rabid Last FM user from like 2008 until probably like 2014. Yeah, it was for me. It was all the Scrabbles, and the whole reason I would do that was partially helpful to be able to like again like talking about how you go about discovering new music. Like Last FM would like show you what you're listening to, and then be like, oh well, you may also like these artists based off of what you're playing most frequently. But for me, I was like, it got to a point where I was listening to so much music that there was something really cool about being able to just kind of see like a visual history of the music that you listen to over the years. And
Mhm.
I've never
Yeah, I really
found
like that.
I've never found this anywhere else. Like Spotify is super lacking in like like yeah, that they'll have like their like year ends, like best of like what albums you listen to the most, what artists you were like most streaming most frequently. But
Mhm.
Last FM, you can like go back to whenever you first started using it. So that in order for it to like have that feature, it's helpful to have like been using it for a long time. Obviously, if you like just started an account today, that wouldn't be terribly useful. But yeah, I'll occasionally be like, okay, well, what was Jamie listening to in 2011? And then I'll stumble upon some band that I haven't thought of in 11 years, and be like, oh wait, these guys still kind of rule. Like,
Yeah, I liked the element of like being able to look at literal data and
yeah,
also being able to be like, okay, what are my trends like? Just take that data and extrapolate it for my own condition rather than having to like have some machine tell me to listen. Like even in our playlist,
yeah,
like there's like that stupid shit that's like, have you tried adding this? Why don't you try adding this sound to it? And it's like
Yeah.
at the drive-in or something, like a song I've listened to 8 million times. Like it's like I know, motherfucker, shut up. Like it's fine. And no, I like the control of that Last of Him had it, but then it started to get like very, like almost like pitchforky and like I don't know. I just stopped using it. I also met my ex on Last FM, not the one who called Mass Effect, Massive Attack,
Massive Attack is
druggy
a
music,
druggy game.
the druggy game, druggy music, druggy Joe. So it was an interesting experience. But John, like when you would down because like, did you use any kind of like I don't know, like music blog stuff during that time? Because like around like 2008 or maybe even earlier, maybe like 2007 to like 2012, the big way to download music and to get into stuff was like Tumblr and music blogs, and then there'd be download links to albums, and you just that's just how that shit worked. Or you'd search a
Yeah.
tag.
I mean, yeah, I guess like Tumblr would be the main thing that I used back then. But like it was weird, dude. Like I went through like weird phases with music where like I would just because I was always like such a social person, I would just meet tons of people and like immediately I'm like, what do you listen to? Tell me it all. Or like my friends would like download fucking everything they could. So I'd just go over to their house with a hard drive and steal everything and then consume. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I was that guy. I was like, oh, we're gonna hang out today? Okay, I'm bringing my hard drive. I'm gonna get all of your music. You know what
Hell
I
yeah.
mean? And like that's pretty much how I like learned about like so much different fucking shit. Cause like I don't know, dude, it's weird.
Yeah, that's dope. I think during that time, that's sort of when because I had a DSL around 2000 and I don't know 8. I think that's when I got it, and so which is kind of late actually, but that's when I was able to sort of download music more regularly, and I was like super anal about it. Like pretty much everything was like lossless or really high quality. I made sure all the tags were accurate, the album art, all that kind of stuff. And that was a lot of work. But like we were saying before, there was something about like the pragmatism of putting that effort into building a collection or a library or whatever you'd call it. That is sort of lost with streaming services. Like there's something about the ease of use of Spotify, for example, because I love just being able to be like, hey, I want to search for Holy Fawn and like every single fucking album that they've released, all the album art, the year, even though sometimes that metadata is never really accurate on Spotify. Um, like I like that a lot. Like it saves me a lot of time, even if it's not like to the degree of accuracy that I would personally prefer, or like the visual format I would prefer. It's just something I don't have to think about it, and it streamlines the experience. So hard for me. Do you guys have any kind of like when you would download stuff or collect stuff? Like, did you have any like specific methods, any archiving purposes? Because John, obviously, you had several hard drives. What did you
Yeah.
do?
Like I would just when I was downloading, I would try to go for full discographies if I could, and like you said, just try to keep everything as like clean as possible, like all the album art, everything labeled correctly. Like the last time I went through one of my oldest drives, it's a fucking mess, dude. Like you can tell there was a point where I just gave up and said, "Fuck it, I'm not dealing with this anymore." And then like weirdly enough, after I got like super big into like downloading, I went to CDs and I just said fuck it and I started buying CDs all the time. And this was like probably 2010 to like 2019. And like I slowly stopped buying CDs and started buying vinyl. And then I would buy like I buy records and I just buy them to have them. I do all of my listening on Spotify now. You know what I mean? The only
Damn,
thing I
yeah,
wish
that's
is like I wish Spotify had like a better saving feature because I know like it used to max
yeah.
out after a certain point where you could have like 50 albums and that's it or
Mhm.
whatever. So now I just try to follow as many artists as I can so at least I still get like they've released a new single, they released a new album type thing, and try to keep up to
Gotcha.
date
Yeah.
that way. But I wish it was like a little bit better so I could save every album I like and then have like the big playlist. Oh fuck! Sorry,
Yeah.
off
N-
point there.
no. That's not off point at all. I started. I think like when I was first getting into more underground druggy music, I started collecting vinyl, and this is like early 2000, early to mid 2000s,
Back when it
and I
was
didn't have a
niche.
yeah when it was dude it was, and I remember the first time I bought a record, my dad was pissed. He was like, "Why would you buy that? Why nobody uses that anymore?" And I was like, "Yeah, but we have an old record player. So we had this shitty old record player in our garage that like he had from the '70s. That fucking needle probably like, was. I tried using it once and it didn't work. I got one eventually, but I collected vinyl for a while, and that was like the only thing I spent my money on. And then around 2010 or so, I'm like, fuck it. I don't listen to this anymore. My speakers broke. Like, I sold my system, and I was like, there's no reason to keep this. I have a bunch of essential Screamo records and like a couple things here and there. Um, I have like Fall of Troy's original release of Doppelganger and like the
Oh,
self
damn.
titled and a couple other things that are pretty rare. But like, as a whole, I just can't. I had to choose, man, between like games and like music equipment and like other books. Like, there's just like I can only have so much of something. I just like as cool as vinyl is, I just don't have a sound system anymore for
Yeah.
it, and I don't have a good record player. And also so much that gets released on vinyl sounds like shit because it's not mastered for analog.
Right. Just
And
like
so
digital rips to vinyl.
yeah, and it's like fucking like they downloaded it on Kazaa on the 96 kbps MP3 and printed it on a vinyl. And like a lot of those releases, especially video game music stuff, is like it's not really like that well like curated or transferred. So it sounds awful, and it's like
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I can't justify it anymore.
for me personally, I don't think if you're buying vinyl for the sound quality, you're a fucking liar. Like that's something that I stand by. Like,
Yeah, that's
no, it
true.
doesn't
That
sound better. It sounds better on Spotify. That's why I buy a fucking subscription for $10 a month. I'm buying the vinyl because it looks cool. Like that's literally it.
yeah, I do think that some records and artists, certain types of music do sound better, but like like a fucking era record on vinyl is not going to sound good because it has such a big like digital feel to it, right? Like
Yeah,
everything, like it has a ton of layers and textures. And with vinyl and analog mastering, you don't like the stuff like like a three synth pads and like really textured reverb heavy uh processing doesn't translate as well to that as it would literally anything else, any other kind of digital medium.
for sure.
Um, so
Like I
it's like,
said, it's pretty much just like a novelty item now. You know what I mean? Like for
yeah,
me at least, it's that's why I keep buying records. Like my record player is a piece of shit. The last record I tried to listen to, it sounded awful. You know what I mean? And that's it's
Yeah.
not because the record sounded awful; it's because the fucking player's a piece of shit.
yeah,
Right.
But it's like I didn't buy it so that I could sit there and then be like, "Yeah, this is great. I'm gonna flip it over in 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna listen to that side. So good." You know what I
You
mean?
you buy it so that if one day, you have a sound system that you can play it on. It's like you buy it in the theoretical. At least that was
Yeah,
always the case for me. Like the first, I'd say like 50 or 60 records that I bought, I didn't even have a record player. Like forget about a shitty record player. I had zero record players. So I was really buying them for the sake of just having them,
yeah,
as a
for sure.
collector's
I want
item.
to like
I don't think there's any shame in that either, because it's like if you're collecting like just for the art, or you want to support the band, or like whatever, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, it's your money, do what you want, man.
exact.
um I that being said, I think it's like if you get like John was saying, like if you're like, well, it actually sounds way better on vinyl. It's like, are you sure it does? And you're not just being like a little
Sir,
pedantic
this is
little
the
cunt.
audiophile pressing. Okay.
This is the 180-gram double
Yeah.
gatefold.
But like, no, I think like the tactile thing of having a record is right there. I think there's an interesting analog, no pun intended, between this and video game retro collecting, because like I have a Super Famicom. I don't fucking play the Super Famicom. I'm not gonna, like I bought Tactics Ogre, right, for Super Famicom, and I'm not gonna play that on there because that is a Japanese game, a text-heavy Japanese game. That's not gonna happen. But it was like $15, and I'm like, I love the art. I would like to have this. That's really cool. This never got released in the US. Um, that being said, even for stuff that I bought, what did I buy recently? Uh, Lunar, Eternal Blue. I bought the PS1 version. I just emulated it. Like it's like the video game equivalent of listening to it on Spotify.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, or at least I don't think there is. Like they're about like sort of like having the actual physical tactile thing. Um, it's almost like a reminder that it's there. You can actually physically listen to it or play the thing or whatever. It's not just an NFT. If you're starting to like buy vinyl to have NFTs, NFVs, then that kind of sucks. But like, you know, it is what it
Yeah.
is. But how did you guys like? How do you guys think that like having everything available to you affects your listening habits with stuff? Like Jamie, do you find yourself like falling down the recommended music rabbit hole of like, an album will finish and then it'll play something else? Does that kind of shit ever happen?
It does on occasion, and I have found out about some cool artists that way. I guess the big thing that has been like a challenge, I guess for me, like transitioning from the era of for the most part purchasing all of my music and having CDs that I would listen to versus having pretty much the entirety of the wealth of human history and music like at the just like at the click of a mouse sort of thing. So one major difference I find is that like there were albums that I would buy sometimes as a teenager. Some of them I would really enjoy, and some of them would be okay, and some of them would be pretty shitty. And like, despite like that, but I would like come to the conclusion of whether I enjoyed an album or not. Like over the course of time, I listen to it quite a few times because if you're gonna spend money on something, you wanna like you don't want to like just kind of tell yourself after listening to a CD that you just dropped $15 on that like, oh wow, this sucks, I'm never going to listen to it again. It's very easy to like throw away an album that you hear on Spotify, like, or like let's say you throw something on, you play a song of it, you're not really enjoying it all that much, and then you just like throw something else on. I mean, there was a time where like I mean, again, if you're purchasing your music, that you like almost kind of like try to gaslight yourself into enjoying a release that you don't actually like, because like
Hmm.
I have to enjoy this, because if I don't enjoy this, it means it was a waste of money, so
Yeah, yeah.
therefore
Sunk
I
cost
enjoy
fallacy.
this. Exactly, yeah. So which it was like, like there are positives and negatives associated with that, because I do feel in some ways as if I had a like I had a bit more of an open mind when I would like subject myself to like music, like some of which was, like critically acclaimed and that people really liked, versus like other things that were just, like so or like forgettable. And like I felt like I was exposed to like a wider variety when it comes to that specifically. Now, the one thing that streaming has been able to offer that is there's just no accounting for if your foundation is listening to like physical media, is just like the sheer diversity of what you can listen to. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, there's it's definitely not a mistake or a happenstance that the roughly the time that I transitioned to streaming was also around the time that I started listening to a lot more like outside of my immediate comfort zone when it came to music. Where like as a teenager, for me, it was mostly metal music or metal adjacent music. That was just like that was what I enjoyed, and so that was inevitably what I purchased, what I listened to most frequently. And then it was just kind of like in a hamster wheel, just like never breaking away from that. But then as soon as there were like no as soon as I didn't have to like worry about purchasing a CD or something like that that I conceivably might not end up enjoying, and I was able to just like play any old thing, I started realizing, oh wow, that like all this stuff is super cool, and like I think I became a lot more of a rabid music listener when streaming became an option. Like I felt the need to listen to more. I like became obsessed. I needed to hear everything that was out there, like every sound, every like scene, what that all
Every
sounded like.
Viper album.
Exactly, start to finish, like in chronological order, and then rank all of the songs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rankings
The Viper
Vipers
tier list
discography.
video
yeah.
on Cerulean Skies. Wait,
Cerulean Skies
that's
presents a 20 podcast fucking extravaganza.
dude. Viper
Conservatively
himself
20.
is coming on. It's
Dude,
we got Viper. Filoni
Oh,
is bringing in Viper.
that's how you reach celebrity status.
Oh yeah, but John, that's a good pedestal to ask, or jumping off point to ask you is: do you think Spotify or streaming services have made you more or less open minded about music?
definitely more. Yeah, like in comparison to when I was, download. I mean, I guess I was like trying to learn more about it when I was learn more about bands and different types of music when I was in my downloading and ripping off people's computers phase. But yeah, definitely like since Spotify has became a thing and you have literally everything in the world at your fingertips, of course I'm going to be like, well, let's check out this band that I've always heard of but never listened to. You know what I mean? You have everything at your fucking fingertips. You might as well check out more different shit. And like
Right.
the not release radar, but when you listen to an album, then it starts playing like several
Autoplay.
bands. I've found a ton of different music that I like that way. I mean, in the summer, I was listening to a lot of pop, and every time I'd listen to an album, it would end, and then it would show me a bunch of like punk or pop punk in relation to that. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is good. The Menzingers, who the fuck is this? But yeah, like
I watched that Menzinger's arc unfold. By the way, I saw it happen. I saw you. I saw your Menzinger's arc unfold in real time on Twitter.
yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this? Shit, I fucking love these guys. Yeah, it's like I always heard people talk about them and just never listen to them. And then one day they come on, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. I like this.
So that's interesting because what you were saying kind of just sparked a thought in my head. Uh, in a way, I mean, not counting the effect that Spotify has on artists was like financially, which is awful because like it's a shitty dystopian company, and they honestly like should be held more accountable for all the fucking awful things that they've done individually to artists. But like apart from that, I do think there is an element or a lessening of disposability with streaming services compared to what came immediately before. Because you were just saying that like you'd go to your friend's house, you download a bunch of shit, put it on a hard drive, et cetera, et cetera. And I would do the same thing. I'd be like, oh, this band is recommending this band. This is in the same genre. I'm just gonna download all the albums and put it on a hard drive and just probably never fucking listen to it,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like that what I just said is more disposable than just being like, oh, I have all these options on Spotify. I'm not going to actively click on them. Maybe things get like procrastinated, but like I don't know, something about maybe it's just the tangibility of having like a file on your computer versus having it, you know, in the nebulous cloud. But I think I definitely think that even something like that changes how we interact with music on so many different levels, and like just being able to switch from song to song to song, from artist to artist to artist, and also like keep up like a constant cycle, like being able to add stuff to a playlist, being able to add stuff to a queue, that like quality of life and the practical elements of it like really change a lot. I wish Spotify wasn't a piece of shit though. Like
Yeah,
I
the company
but
itself sucks ass.
right.
Is that what
But the
you're referring
service,
to?
yeah. But the
But
service
yeah,
itself is great. It's just the people who run it, like that's
I
what
mean,
Yeah.
sucks.
this is just a part of living in the end times.
Right.
Well, and the unfortunate reality, I mean, there are definitely some like truly dystopian, fucked up things about Spotify in particular when it comes to like the CEO funding whatever like arms companies, and like that being a whole thing where like artists were
What?
saying they're well, yeah, like yeah, he's giving funding to like missile defense. Joe, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I heard about this.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
wild, dude.
that was why a lot of people deleted their Spotify accounts, was specifically because of that. I mean, forget about the
I
fact that
never heard a
that
fucking
they
thing about this.
yeah.
It's
So
AI defense tech
that
investments.
yeah, that's what it
Oh,
was.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so but like but at the end of the day, I mean, barring that, which is a pretty major thing, just the virtue of like having a streaming service unfortunately kind of necessitates that, like, if you're
Yeah.
going to use it that way, if you're going to consume music that way, that inevitably the payout for artists is going to be a pittance. And that's part of why it's like, I mean, there's no real justifying it. Like what I'll typically do is, if there's an artist, especially like an up and coming band, or like a band that a friend is in that I really enjoy, like I might, rather than like buying a CD or anything like that, like download it or purchase the files on Bandcamp, which again is slightly
Yeah,
better. But at the
for
same
sure.
time, though, I recognize that I get enough value out of the experience of having a streaming service that has everything, that it's like, in order for me to like give that up, I would have to fundamentally alter the way that I go about consuming music. And that wouldn't, not to say that that would necessarily be a bad thing, but I really enjoy being able to listen to any old thing that I want, because I one moment I might be craving, like early 90s whatever, horror core, and then I might like want to transition right into some, like 70s like psychedelic freak folk, and then I might want to throw on, a slowcore jam after that. And I mean, if you're going to have access to like literally everything, if you're not a millionaire, then you're somebody somewhere along the supply chain is getting fucked, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
looking at it from a financial perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like, I agree. I kind of wish it wasn't as like cynical as that, though. Like I wish that there was a better option, that like to just be like,
I
oh
mean, honestly,
yeah, that's gonna happen.
seeing bands play live is not everything, but like just like going and like buying a ticket to see a band, or
yeah,
at least like
exactly.
purchasing merch, like
Yeah,
picking up a T-shirt or a little
well,
enamel
that's
pin, or
that's
whatever,
literally
stuff like
how
that.
bands make money now, is through
Yeah,
Yep.
merch sales and
Well,
live shows. Like
yeah.
they
I
don't
mean,
get fuck
even
all off of albums.
even then, man, like back in the day, like when I first started going to shows were $5,
Yeah, dude.
$5 to $10.
yeah.
Shirts were anywhere from 5 to 12. If you're a band charging $15 for a shirt, you're a bougie bitch, or it was
You're
like a special thing.
you're also seeing like a lot of like DIY stuff though, specifically. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a, like, in the 16 years I've been going to concerts, I don't think I've ever seen a concert tee go for under $15. But I also I didn't really was I didn't partake in a DIY scene,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's
Well,
like a
dude,
different sort
but
of thing.
even then, even bands that like were like DIY. I'm trying to think of a really good example of like a bigger band that I saw that probably would shit. Against Me, I don't know. Even when they were starting to get bigger, their shirt. I remember getting a shirt for $10. Like when Searching for Former Clarity came out, and they were at MTV, and they played a sold out show at the Metro, and I was like, oh hell yeah, $10, cool.
That's awesome.
Um,
That's sick.
so, but like, yeah, but like, yeah, that's always been like the way, right? And it's like it sucks that like there's been this huge consumer drive toward music that is essentially like like supposed to be anti-capitalist in ethos, right? Like a lot of the bands that we talked about today are very like their ethos is, and like their messages and their politics are very much like, not we're playing music to make fucking money, bitch.
Right.
Like, and so to yeah, it sucks that that's sort of what has to happen, that in order for bands to even like break even, you have to sell $20 shirts, and you have to like
Yeah.
you have to do the joint. I will say that Jump and Shoot, a gaming podcast, made $1.30 on Spotify via Spotify royalties.
Oh
So
shit. I mean,
um
honestly, that's a lot of streams.
it's a lot of streams. It was like I don't know, maybe like 300, 400. So yeah, we pretty much made it. We made it
Going
back
big.
in the day. But like how what to I guess like push the sort of close the topic on this though, like what do you guys think is like the future for music listenability?
Honestly, I feel like, I mean, the cynic in me just kind of sees it continuing along the path that it is going currently until we reach a point where like there are enough artists that can't like afford to make music that they have to, bow out, and we're going to be left with like a plethora of like, the currently existing, catalog of music. And you'll still have people making new stuff, but I feel like it's going to be harder and harder to achieve any level of financial success unless you like kind of fit into like a very narrow category of like a certain like type of pop artist or like
Mhm.
electronic whatever that you do, which I mean, I hate to say that, and I would love for that to not be the case. And I hope that, there's an opportunity to be able to actually have people not even make a profit off of art that they create, but at least be compensated enough to be able to continue to make art. I don't know. Like I know for a while they're talking about, some artists were talking about like the possibilities of, things like, NFTs and other things that you could like spend money on to support an artist, but like that's such a like profoundly fucked idea to me that I don't really I would just as soon not see it go in that direction, but it's also easy for me to say because I'm not somebody who's trying to make art and then also make money for the art that I'm putting out into the world. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think honestly, every band that you like is going to become a merch company, and
Yep,
the
it's already
music is
kind of been
just
that
what
way.
drives the merch. And I like it's already happening, you know what I mean? But that's pretty much like how it goes. Like with the way that album sales are, like don't be surprised if everybody just keeps putting out singles and singles because I've already heard bands say that too because people's attention spans are fucking gone. Nobody wants to listen to a full album anymore except for a bunch of 30-year-olds sitting around talking to their computers.
Like us.
On a podcast.
Like us.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good like topic for the future is just the listening to an album versus listening to singles or just
Yeah.
like the playlist mentality.
The merits
John,
of
you and I
each.
were roasting this before, but there's that fucking stupid idiot tweet that like got like really popular not long ago, and it was like the tweet was something like, "Does anyone just binge albums anymore, or
Oh
is
my
it just me?" And it's like binging. It's like literally fucking listening to an album. Like that's like being like, dude, I totally 100% binged Drive My Car. I fucking binged it, dude. I watched it all in one sitting.
Man,
I binged Terminator. Not the series, but I binged the first Terminator. It's so stupid,
have
dude.
you guys have you guys binged Led Zeppelin 4 yet?
oh bro. I was just
Like
binging Led
it's
Zeppelin 3.
I'm more of a fan of Led Zeppelin 64. It was a rough transition from 2D to 3D, but I think they did it well. Uh,
Uh,
But but yeah, and I like that whole concept is like, okay, so granted, I don't want to sound too pretentious about it because it's like I get that people have different ways of interacting with music, and I don't think l- like
there's not a right
fucking
answer. Like,
right, like listening to 7 albums a day makes you like a better music listener or like more
it's
real
worth
or
your
anything
time.
like that. But I think that like if you're into music and like you have to think about the concept of listening to an album, like that to me that's like problematic. I feel like there's something missing there.
Yeah.
There's a fundamental misunderstanding of the medium And I especially with this kind of music that this thing of ours, the music that we usually talk about, like especially with that kind of music. But I mean, even pop music, like people who listen to top 40 and like just like hear something on the radio and whatever. Like I just don't understand like why the concept of an album it would be foreign. Like it
Yeah.
just truly baffling to me.
I mean,
So
if anything, those people are the ones that are supporting those colossal artists with album sales. Like people like Taylor Swift and The Weeknd and, whoever else is like the big pop artist. Those people are still making like fucking millions of album sales. They're like
mhm.
the only like four people in the world that do that shit.
You actually do, yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah,
And then like
yeah.
somebody that we like is like lucky to hit 12K
Mhm.
first
Yeah.
week. It's like fuck, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like with albums, you pretty much just have to accept the fact that like the music itself is not going to sell. That's the
Yeah.
marketing tool, right? Like that you use, and everything else just follows. And um, but yeah, no, I think that's a really good uh topic for either next time or in the future. Um, stay tuned on the Cerulean Skies Podcast Network. Uh, anything else that you guys want to say before we wrap up?
No.
Kind of
Spotify wrapped up.
Oh,
Jesus.
look at you with your
Yeah,
puns.
look at us. Look at us. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to close it out. One quick question for y'all: what album are you most excited for coming up in the next couple months? And I think for me, it's going to be. I'm really stoked. I think Murder by Death has an album coming out in like 2 weeks, and then Pianos Become the Teeth comes out in August, and those are probably my two that I could think of. Also, Holy Fawn, but
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so three.
I was gonna say Holy Fawn. Single Mothers, Everything You Need is like probably one of my most anticipated. And what was the other one? Oh, Devil Wears Prada, Color Decay. I
Interesting.
fucking love the singles that they put out off of that album. I was never really like big into that band, but that album has me really interested.
Cool.
For me, I guess. Well, I don't know if I'd say it's like the one I'm most excited for, but a record that I'm stoked to eventually come out. So the band, well, these days they go by Gilla Band, but their name used to be Girl Band, and then they changed it for some arbitrary reason that I don't know. But they're like a kind of like a noise rock post punk band. They just announced that they have a new album coming out in October. That I'm super excited for, and then also the experimental artist Diamanda Gallas. She has a new album that's coming out in August that she recorded over COVID. And she has this like really kind of utterly unique style that's like, I mean, if either of you have heard any like lingua ignota, she kind of
Yeah.
like
Okay.
she kind of like laid the framework for that style of just, just like very experimental, very like abrasive, just like vocalization heavy music that was like pretty much has no pop sensibility to it. But that she's releasing her first record in like I think like 10 years or something. So super stoked for that.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's like insanely Jamie artist name too.
I
Like
swear there are
something.
other people who listen to her.
No, I know. I know that. I just like it's just funny because it's like the most like indecipherable, unpronounceable name is always like an insanely Jamie artist.
I almost added a 14-minute track of hers to the playlist, but I decided to spare you guys. So,
No, sometimes you just gotta throw in like a 20-minute song, man.
you
There's
know,
no to me.
sometimes you
There's
just
no
gotta
limit.
The next
throw out this.
playlist, no songs under 10 minutes.
All right,
Yeah,
that's the rule. All right,
dude, let's do it.
I'm here for it. I'm here
Let's
for it.
fucking do
It's
it.
gonna be
Conser-
3 hours, and everybody's gonna have
Conservative
one
3-hour
song.
runtime.
I think the longest I can think of off the top of my head is Alluvium. They have like a hour and 20-minute track, I think.
Caretaker, baby, 6 hours, one song.
Oh no!
But
Okay,
that's
all
not even a
right,
song. That doesn't count.
all right.
Dream Theater is all I can think of.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
Sleep, dope smoker. Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
Jerusalem's even longer than dope smoker,
Damn. Yeah,
but
no,
all right.
we'd have to parse that out. All right. And as always, you could find our playlist. I'll put it in the uh, description. So if anyone is interested in listening to that sucker's there. Thank you
That's
guys again for this. This is always a really fun thing. I always look forward when we could actually schedule this. I always very much look forward to this. So thank you all.
Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Cool.
rock and
Uh,
roll.
rock and roll, baby.